In 2020, the US Supreme Court delivered a landmark decision in Bostock v. Clayton County, fundamentally shifting the landscape of civil rights protections. This case revolved around Gerald Bostock, who was dismissed from his job after expressing support for the LGBTQI community. Bostock contested this action, claiming a violation of Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. The crux of the matter lay in the interpretation of sex as stated in Title VII. Does sex encompass sexual orientation and gender identity? This was the question that demanded an answer. In a move that would have given legal theorist John Austin food for thought, the court decided in favor of an expanded interpretation. Sex, as per the court's decision, included sexual orientation, thereby challenging traditional views of legal positivism. This interpretation reflected a shift in societal values, demonstrating that law is not a static entity, but an evolving construct. The court's decision expanded interpretations of sex to include sexual orientation, challenging traditional legal positivism by adapting law to contemporary values. Legal theorist John Austin might view this through his legal positivism lens, focusing on law as a command from a sovereign, adhered to through enforcement, not moral judgment. So, what is legal positivism? In essence, it is a school of thought that argues law is a set of rules and commands that are separate from moral or ethical judgments. Law is made by the sovereign power of a state and is upheld through the threat of punishment. In the context of Bostock v. Clayton County, Austin's legal positivism would likely focus on the original text of Title VII. From this perspective, the law's language does not explicitly include sexual orientation or gender identity under protection. Therefore, a positivist might argue that the court overstepped its bounds in interpreting the law beyond its original text. Yet the Supreme Court's decision challenged this traditional positivist viewpoint by interpreting sex under Title VII to include sexual orientation and gender identity. This decision reflected a contemporary understanding of sex, gender, and identity, showcasing how interpretations of laws can and do evolve over time. This landmark decision serves as a stark example of how legal positivism can meet its limits in the face of societal evolution. It challenges the idea that laws should only be interpreted based on their original text, and suggests that the spirit of the law, reflecting societal values and norms, should also be considered. However, this is not to say that legal positivism is without its merits. It provides a clear, structured way of interpreting laws and serves as a reminder of the importance of the sovereign power in creating and enforcing laws. Though legal landscapes evolve, the debate between following the strict letter of the law versus interpreting it to reflect societal changes continues. John Austin's views remind us of the foundational principles that guide these complex decisions. As society evolves, so too does our interpretation of the law. The Bostock v. Clayton County decision is a shining example of how our understanding of justice can grow and adapt in step with societal changes. Consider the text of Title VII. Its original authors in the mid-60s may not have envisioned a future where sexual orientation and gender identity would be recognized under the umbrella of sex. Yet, in a world that has grown to understand and accept the complexities of human identity, the Supreme Court found room within those very words to extend protections to the LGBTQI community. This decision, however, was not without controversy. It sparked a debate that echoes the long-standing tension in legal theory. Should we follow the strict letter of the law, or should we interpret it through the prism of contemporary societal values? On one hand, there is the perspective of legal positivism, as championed by John Austin. Austin saw the law as a command from a sovereign, to be followed not because of its inherent moral righteousness, but simply because it is the law. In this light, the strict interpretation of sex in Title VII might not encompass sexual orientation and gender identity. On the other hand, proponents of legal realism might argue that the law is not a static construct, but a living, breathing entity that should reflect the changing values and norms of society. They might see the Bostock decision as a necessary evolution, a step towards a more inclusive and equitable legal system. These two perspectives are not necessarily in opposition, but rather represent different lenses through which to view the law. The interplay between these viewpoints is what drives the evolution of law and justice. As we continue to grapple with new legal challenges, the principles laid down by legal theorists like John Austin provide a solid foundation for these complex discussions. The law is a reflection of our society, and as our society grows and changes, so too will our understanding of justice. The evolution of law and justice continues, guided by the foundational principles of legal theorists like John Austin. For more insights, subscribe and follow our channel.